Our silly game saved my daughter's life. When my daughter Riley was 8, she became obsessed with detective shows. Not the cartoon ones, but the real crime documentaries where investigators would catch criminals by noticing tiny details that didn't add up. She begged me to teach her how to spot liars and read people like the detectives on TV. I thought it was harmless fun, so we created what we called the truth game. We'd practice at restaurants and parks, watching strangers and pointing out tells. Crossed arms meant defensive. Touching the nose meant possibly lying. Looking up and left meant accessing memory. Looking up and right meant creating a story. We'd test each other constantly. Riley got scary good at it. She could tell when her mom was hiding a surprise party. She knew when her teacher was bluffing about pop quizzes. By the time she turned 11, we'd mostly stop playing. Riley got busy with middle school and friends and soccer practice. The game became just a funny memory we'd bring up sometimes at dinner. When Riley turned 15, she started volunteering at the youth center downtown. It was run by this guy named Marcus, who everyone loved. Former college athlete, coached basketball, organized community events. My wife thought he was wonderful because he got Riley interested in helping others. Riley seemed happy there, coming home energized and talking about the kids she mentored. Then about 3 months in, Riley started making strange comments. We'd be eating dinner and she'd randomly say, "Marcus touched his ear 7 times during our staff meeting today." Or, "Marcus looked at the ceiling when he talked about his college days." I'd nod and keep eating, not thinking much of it, but the observations kept coming. He repositioned his watch 3 times when parents were picking up kids. He stepped backward when the police officer came to give that safety talk. His voice got higher when someone mentioned background checks. I finally asked Riley why she was so focused on Marcus, and she just shrugged and said she found people watching interesting again. But her voice was too casual, too practiced, like she was trying to sound normal. Then Riley started asking weird questions. "Dad, if someone was really good at hiding something, how would you catch them? Or what if someone seemed nice but did all the lying? Tells you taught me." I told her that people who lie professionally learn to control their tells, which is why you look for clusters of behaviors instead of single signs. She went quiet after that and didn't bring it up again. 2 weeks later, Riley came home and announced she was quitting the youth center. When I asked why, she said she wanted to focus on school, but she wouldn't look at me when she said it. Her hands were shaking. I found her that night sitting in her closet with her knees pulled to her chest. "Riley, what's really going on?" She was quiet for a long time. Then she whispered, "Remember how you taught me that really dangerous people don't show normal tells because they've practiced? That they create new patterns instead?" I nodded. "Marcus never shows the usual signs, Dad, but there's something else. Every time parents arrive early, he touches his phone exactly 3 times. Every single time, like a ritual. And last week I noticed he does it faster when it's the younger kid's parents. I felt cold. Why does that matter?" She pulled out her phone and showed me photos she'd been taking from across the room. Marcus always angled his body to block the doorway when parents came early. He'd position himself between them and the back hallway. And Riley had noticed that on days when parents arrived unexpectedly, certain kids would be missing from the main room. I asked where those kids were, and Riley said she'd checked. The supply room. Always the supply room. And Marcus would take exactly 4 minutes before bringing them back out. She'd timed it 17 times. Her voice was steady now, but her hands were still shaking. "I wanted to be wrong, Dad. I've been watching for 2 months trying to prove myself wrong. But yesterday I followed him when he took Emma to the supply room. I stood outside the door. I heard him tell her that their special exercise had to stay secret, that if she told anyone, the bad men would take her away from her mommy. I called the police from my car that night. They said they'd look into it, but I couldn't wait for bureaucracy. I drove to the youth center at 7 a.m. the next morning and demanded to see Marcus immediately. The front desk volunteer said he'd called in sick. First time in 3 years. I pushed past her and went straight to his office. The door was locked, but through the window I could see his desk had been cleared out. His computer was gone. The photos on his wall were gone. Everything except the furniture. I called Riley's cell phone, my heart hammering. She answered on the first ring. "Where are you right now?" I demanded. "School. First period just started. Why?" "Because the police just called me. They went to Marcus's apartment an hour ago with a warrant based on your statement, and what they found in his bedroom is linked below or on my channel."